Welcome to the tutorial for Sun Salutation 1. We'll begin with a short pre-flow just to get your body set up and ready. You can begin lying on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor, hands on your belly, and take a few deep breaths in 360 degrees through the side ribs, through the back ribs, and even into the low back and low sides. You can now lift the hips off the ground for bridge pose. If you have a block, you can place it between the thighs or a pillow and begin with some pulses here, targeting the glutes to activate rather than the hamstrings or the lower back. And we're just activating the body to prepare for the flow. And usually the first flow we do is the Sun Salutation, specifically Sun Salutation 1. What Sun Salutation allows for is the integration of your body after we've primed it up with this pre-flow set. Then the muscles can work together in collaboration rather than in this isolated form. Bring the arms overhead and stretch your wrists. You can do both sides. Take one set of fingers across the other to pull back and breathe into that as you stretch. Then lower your hips down to the floor and keep your feet on the floor with the knees bent. Hands come behind the head. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, draw that low belly down just like you learned in the pre-flow tutorial and curl. Hold the breath out. Inhale, lower slowly. Exhale, curl up again. With that deep abdominal engagement, you can bring the knees in and out a little bit to release the hip flexors, release the head and the hands. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, curl up again. Good, then inhale, lower. Exhale, curl up. Twist to the right. And these are very basic abs. You'll start going through some more complex abdominal exercises as we continue to learn more flows and as you take more classes. Turn center, inhale, lower. Exhale, feel that low belly draw down, curl up, twist to the left. Try to keep the hips out of it. Just target the belly. Both shoulder blades lifted off the ground. Turn center and inhale, lower. Exhale, curl up. Turn to the right. Turn center, inhale, lower, exhale, curl up again, turn left. Then turn center, inhale, lower, exhale, curl up, one more each side, turn right. Both shoulder blades lifted. Bring your brain right into the belly. Come center, inhale, lower, exhale, curl center, twist left. Good, then turn back center, inhale, lower, down to the floor. Nice. Exhale, you can turn to one side, rise up to quadruped, hands and knees. Then pull back for cow pose. Exhale, press and lift and round for cat. And we really break this down in the pre-flow tutorial, so go back and do that if you need to. Inhale, pull, cow. Exhale, lift through that low belly to lengthen the spine and round in cat. Spread that belly to the back body. Inhale to a flat spine here, just nice and neutral. Grab the mat with that nice grip of the hands. Reach your right arm forward and your left leg back. Now as you do this, it challenges your trunk more. So try not to let that pelvis tip down. Rather, think about holding the pelvis completely still as that leg lifts. Then you really target the glute. So if you don't feel the glute of that leg, then you're arching the spine too much. So reinforce with the abdominals, lift them up, and feel that glute firing and working against the abdominal strength and vice versa. Bring that knee down, an arm down, and other side. So left arm forward, right leg back. But again, try not to move the pelvis at all. Don't worry about the height of the leg. The higher it is, often your body has to compensate and it takes the core out. What you want is that integration of the core and the hips together. That abdominals and low belly lifting and that right glute fired up. Awesome. So we'll bring the knee down and the hands down, forearms to the mat for dolphin. Lift the knees off the ground. Simply breathe here, in and out. You're welcome to add variations if you want to, if you're familiar with those, but otherwise just hold here. Start to allow the strength to build. Adding movements of the arms and legs eventually just challenge the core strength more and the shoulder strength. So for now, we'll just stay centered. So you can feel again the knees bent if you find that your back is rounding, and that will free up your pelvis to realign with the upper body in neutral. Relax the neck and the head. Good, then rest, bring your knees down, take child's pose. Okay, then find downward dog where you are. Walk your hands back towards the feet in that happy squat. Then inhale, rise to stand. Now you can find a bench or a chair for your downward dog on that piece of furniture, or challenge yourself a little bit more today. And if you feel like you're ready, try down dog on the wall. We will be building up to this, but you start with a bench or a chair or like a stair step, and you can even use stairs to kind of work and go higher and higher with the legs. Start at the first step and then work up. I'm going to try it at the wall today just so you can see the difference, but it's up to you what you want to try. But you place the feet on the wall, and you can always start by sitting down facing the wall with the legs extended to get the distance where your hands need to be compared to the length of the legs. So where you're sitting, the hands will go right there. You'll just turn around to downward dog. It'll feel really kind of short compared to what you're used to, but hold that and lift one foot at a time onto that wall, push into it. The hips will be directly over the hands. Make sure you're not arching your back or getting the feet way up. Make sure your chest is facing the wall and not the ground. It's not a plank position. And if you feel like you can't hold the form very well, just come down and do this on a step instead until you feel like you can hold your alignment better with that much load. And you'll totally get there very quickly. The first stage of learning even is just neurological. There's not even much strength change in the beginning. It's just kind of lighting up parts of your brain and your nerves. And then over time, then you start to build strength, and that changes. Okay, so come down and then come to the front of the mat. Bring your 2 blocks there. If you don't have blocks, you can use a chair. Just kind of put your hands on the chair. And what the blocks do is they help you keep the spine straight. If you have to reach further than you can, then the back rounds, and it can put a lot of load on the vertebrae. And anytime you round that back, unless you're really actively doing it, it'll just release the core. So you have to keep that core engaged even if the back's rounding, and really support it with your strength. That's why you move really only with a neutral spine all the time and make the hips do the work to move you through space. So inhale the arms overhead. This is mountain pose. And it's really like an upside down handstand. Your body's fully vertical. And here, it's more than just standing in a relaxed way. The glutes are engaged slightly. The belly's pulling in, both to stabilize the pelvis. The feet are in neutral, toes pointing forward. And the arms are extending overhead. Also really important to keep the ribs down. That keeps the abdominals engaged and your body in neutral rather than flaring. Then exhale, hinge in the hips and the knees like you're coming down to sit in a chair, but then have the hands come down to the blocks. This is forward fold. So rather than straightening the knees and going into a big hamstring stretch where your abs just release and there's no hip engagement, this is much better for your body. This is how our bodies are meant to move. It's basically leading you into a squat, and it's helping your hips and core work together. So inhale, rise to stand again in mountain. Exhale, sit back through that chair into your forward fold. And again, forward fold is basically like a squat with your hands down on the blocks or the floor. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, stand. Exhale, fold. See how it feels for you. Notice if it feels like it's nice and smooth in the joints as you fold, or if the knees are going in or out. It's really important that as the knees bend and the hips hinge, that they're tracking right over the toes, that the knees aren't going inward, and also that the toes aren't turning out. So hold that neutral position. And it might be challenging, but your body will adapt to that over time. Unless you have some condition, which you should talk to me about or email me about, your body will adapt to this. So then plant the hands down, step your right foot back, and you step it as far back as you can so that the left knee is over the ankle. Bring the right knee down under your hip and inhale the arms overhead. So here, this is a kneeling lunge. You have 90-degree angles in the hips and the knee, well, at least the front hip and both knees. The back hip is extended. And intentionally try to gently press the right knee down into the ground. Engage the right glute by choice, consciously. This will start to be automatic. And get a stretch through the front of the right hip. So you might think like you have to really send your hips way forward to do that, but this is a hanging position. It's using body weight rather than body strength to get that opening. And the way your muscles work is one side contracts with strength, the other one lengthens with strength or with relaxation. So you want to use your strength to create expansion and length in another area. So the glute's working to open the front of the hip. At the same time, for the low belly, pull in, just breathe naturally here. The arms are reaching overhead and feel that the sides of the waist can lengthen. Good, now exhale, plant the hands down under the shoulders, step back to a plank position. So a plank position is one line, but it's challenging because it's trying to lift your body away from gravity and hold this form. The toes are down, the legs are supercharged and engaged, the low belly's lifted. Try not to sink in the hips or the ribs and lift up under there. Then place the knees down behind the hips. So you're still in a plank, but you have the knees down to support you. Good. Then lower to the floor. Now, in order to lower to the floor, I'll show you again, the body weight moves forward rather than hips back. So keep the hips forward. Sometimes I see hips go back like this and the elbows drop down. Your body weight goes forward naturally. You just keep leaning into the hands. You're not shifting forward. You're just bending the elbows and keeping your hips there where they are at the start rather than moving them backward towards the heels. So bend the elbows, keep them next to your waist, not squeezing in. Lower as one piece. No body waves. Make yourself do one perfect rep down. Don't even sacrifice your form because then you're training your body to do that more. You have to do it with the best form that you can when you actually do that, right? So let's lower down. Then grab the mat with the palms. Lift the low belly a little bit. So you're in a neutral position. Pull back with the palms. Feel the shoulder blades draw down and in, lengthening the neck. And this is cobra pose. Reach to the very top of the head. So not lifting the chin or looking up. I know it may be hard when you're looking at a screen, but use your strength to pull and lengthen the spine with your strength here. So the shoulder blades are pulling down and in. This is not a pushing cobra. This is a pulling cobra. Then tuck the toes, exhale with the knees down, push straight up back to that kneeling plank. That's challenging to do. Again, try not to body wave up. Recruit the low belly. It's abdominals that you need to help you here. Lift that low belly up, hold that in, feel like someone's holding your ribs, and one strong exhale to push back up and back to downward dog. Good. Then step your right foot forward. And it's okay if it lands about halfway or nowhere near the hands. Just grab the ankle with your right hand and pull it up. Place the left knee down. Inhale the arms overhead for kneeling lunge on the other side. So from the left glute and press that left knee down to open the left hip. Excellent. Then bring your hands down, step to the top, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand. So now that you know the basic movements and positions, we'll go through them a few times and then go through it a little bit faster, right through. So inhale the arms overhead, mountain. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up to stand. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands down. Step the left leg back, then step forward, fold, right? We're going through these movements repetitively. Step the left leg back, step it up, forward, fold. Step the left leg back, drop the knee and the toes. Inhale the arms overhead. Good. Stretch that left hip. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank. Knees down. Take a few push-ups here. It doesn't have to be very low. It's all about the form. It could be 1 inch down as long as the form's good. If you go down too low and you're losing the hips, the core is letting go, then don't go that far. Keep the belly up and take about, 2 more of those. Then lower all the way down to the mat. Keep the hips up until the very end. So hips, shoulders, the whole body lands at the one time. Pull back with those palms. Here's cobra pose. And then lower down and pull back again. Pull back. Now we're lowering in between these cobras. Pull back one more time. But normally you pull into cobra and then with those hands, stay up. Just tuck the toes, engage the legs. Strong exhale to push straight up to plank, back to downward dog. Step your left foot forward, right knee down. Inhale the arms overhead into kneeling lunge on this side. Get really long. Make sure that right glute is engaged. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step to forward fold. Step back to kneeling lunge. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, hands down. Step to forward fold. Step back. Inhale, rise, kneeling lunge. Exhale, hands down. Step forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand. Now let's go right through. Exhale, fold forward. Right foot steps back. Drop the knee and the toes. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Firm the right glute. Get that right hip open. Even feel like you're running and the left leg pulls back as the right pulls forward. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank with an inhale. Exhale, knees down with awesome, perfect form. Lower as one piece here. Land as one. Pull back for cobra. Long neck. Keep the head and neck in neutral to the rest of the spine. Exhale, push down with the palms to lift up and back to downward dog. Then between breaths, step your right foot forward, left knee down. Inhale the arms overhead for that kneeling lunge on the other side. Firm the left glute, open the left hip. Feel like you're running here again. Pull with the legs. Exhale, hands down, step to forward fold. Long flat spine, feel the core holding you. And inhale, rise up to stand in mountain. Ribs draw down. Exhale, fold forward again. Step your left leg back, drop the knee and the toes. Inhale the arms overhead. This time, bring your hands behind you, interlace the fingers to stretch the chest. Now this stretch, a lot of people just lock the elbows out. That's all that force going into the joints. To really focus on the muscles getting stretched, you can control it by bending the elbows, then draw the shoulders back, squeeze the elbows in, and then start to extend the elbows without actually fully locking them. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank. Knees down. With an inhale here, exhale, lower now to the floor. One piece. Inhale, pull into cobra. Low belly's lifted. Make sure you keep space in the low back. Tuck the toes. Exhale, strong breath to push down. Lift up and back to downward dog. Between breaths, left foot steps forward. Drop the right knee and toes. Inhale the arms overhead. Firm that right glute. Yeah, try to lift up through the low belly. Ribs down. Interlace fingers behind the back here, maybe interlace the other way. And then feel the shoulders draw back, squeeze the elbows in, and then start to extend. You can also have the knuckles at the sacrum here, which is one of the bones between the two pelvic bones in the back. It's right above the tailbone, but below the spine. And that can help give you like just a stable point for the fingers. Hands down to the blocks or to the mat, step forward to the top. Forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand. Mountain. Exhale, bring the arms down by your sides. Good. So that's a specific series called Sun Salutation 1 that helps you warm up and integrate all the ways that your muscles activated in a more isolated way in the pre-flow. Then we'll go into some more customized sequences after that. So now come to lay down on your back. We'll take a quick hip stretch here. Bring your right ankle over your left knee and draw the legs close to you. Just use your strength even to pull here. You can also do this seated if it's more comfortable for you. Good, and you can change legs. And I know, especially if you're new to yoga, it's a lot to learn, and you'll just get it over time. You're always welcome to do this video as many times as you want and to reach out with questions. And we do this every class, so you'll get a lot of it. Great. Now you can extend the arms and legs down by your sides and commend yourself for just having that open mind, being curious to try something new, and also to notice what feels really good, while also realizing and confronting some things that might have felt limiting and challenging for you. And even though it might seem kind of discouraging, those are really the best places where you can grow and see the most and greatest success. So see those places as potential for growth rather than anything limiting. You will just change incredibly and become so much stronger over this process of practice. So while you're here, take a few deep breaths and let everything go now. Leave that practice behind you and just be here. Good. Now start to deepen your breath. Reach out through the arms and the legs. Inhale, reach the arms overhead and take a big long stretch through your body. Great. Then you can roll to one side, rise up to a sitting position. Bring your palms together and notice how you feel, how your body feels. Even just this maybe have given you a little more space and peace of mind. Awesome. So great job. If you have questions, reach out. Namaste.